All right, speaking of Ohio, let's get to Mark Pukita, U.S. Senate candidate in Ohio 2022. There's a boatload of candidates running for the U.S. Senate nomination on the Republican side in Ohio to replace Senator Portman, and he is the retiring Senator Portman, so he's not going to run. But actually, Pukita got in the race even before Portman announced his retirement. He's with us now. Mark Pukita, great to have you with us. Thank you.
Great to be here, John. Thank you.
Tell us about your Senate race.
So we've got a Kentucky Derby field, and the reason I got into it is because I'm sick of politics as usual, and I'm doing the things we need politicians to do. I've got a real policy agenda. We call it the Big Seven Disrupt Agenda. I'm a business person. I'm a citizen candidate. I've never run for office before. I'm not a lawyer. Didn't go to an Ivy League school. Built a big business, $100 million in annual revenue. Employed thousands. I know how to generate jobs, and I'm just upset with the way things are going in Washington, and I was very upset with Rob Portman, and decided to primary him in October of 2019. He quit, and now we've got, as I said, a Kentucky Derby field.
Now, there's like 15 candidates in this race. You got Jane Timken. I think she was is she still the Ohio State chair? You've got a couple people I've had on my show. I can't even, just offhand, can't think of their names. They were on my show. And you've got another guy that's on Fox all the time that Tucker has on. Can't think of his name either. So what stands out? I mean, how do you stand out from this pretty known field? I'm a fighter, right? And I'm fighting for Ohioans. The other people you mentioned are fighting either for themselves or they're fighting to get away from their never Trump supporters or racist past, supporting anti-Trump Congress people. I mean, it's a stark difference when you're a fighter. You can't be corrupted. I've made my money. I'm going to serve, not prosper. And I would say that's the big difference. I also am the only one talking intense policy. I've got a 7-point, we call it the Big Seven Disrupt Agenda, and it's got 7 points. I'd be glad to go through them with you. But one of the key points right now is fixing education in Ohio. And we're trying to leave the state as we campaign better than it was when we came in. So I've testified in front of the Ohio Board of Education. That was some fireworks. We've got this thing called the contract with the district where we're making board members and candidates sign up to oppose things like critical race theory and early sexualization of children. So I'm doing the activity while I'm campaigning, and I think that Ohioans are beginning to see a stark difference, John. All right, so you got a bunch of other candidates in this race. We mentioned Jane Timken as one. She claimed during the rally that she had Trump's endorsement, I think, but then it never really came. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I thought that was a little odd. That's all. You know, I probably wouldn't have done that till I had something in writing. J.D. Vance has been. He's like Fox News' favorite. He's on Tucker all the time. You've got him in the race, and you've also got Josh Mandel, who's been on my TV show, I think twice. So he's a pretty good candidate. So this is going to be a lot of. How was the race decided? Is it a plurality? Is it a runoff? How does it work in Ohio? And when is it?
Yeah, it's May 3rd next year, and it's going to be a plurality. So, you know, the numbers, depending upon how many are in it, the numbers we need in terms of vote count, you know, will depend on the number of folks that actually have ballot access and go down to the wire.
So basically with, 10 candidates in it, somebody can win with 28% of the vote, basically.
Right.
I mean, whoever gets the highest number. Tell me about your fundraising. Is that like real? Are you competitive with the big, let's call it the big four or big five?
So I'm fortunate to be blessed with the ability to initially fund my own campaign. We're just starting fundraising, John.
Our strategy was to show Ohioans the value that we bring with our Big 7 disrupt agenda. And now that we've done that, we're just beginning to start fundraising, active fundraising. So we'll premiere a new website in the next few weeks, and then we'll actively start fundraising once we do that.
Okay, so let's just ask you some basic questions. What did you? And some of these are a little bit redundant. I've asked some others these, but I'm just fascinated by this bipartisan infrastructure bill. I'm kind of trying to figure out what the point of this is. If you were in the Senate now, would you have voted for that? The bipartisan, I guess now it's what, 1.1 or something trillion dollars?
Absolutely not. I am a strict constitutional constructionist, and I am looking to go to Washington to make government smaller. That bill is just an example of the codependent cesspool of corruption that we've got in Washington, D.C. When you've got Republicans who say they're conservatives signing on to support that bill, which is nothing but pork, I mean, it's absolute insanity.
Okay. Mitch McConnell, if you get elected to the U.S. Senate and the Republicans take control, which is better than 50-50, are you going to vote for O'Donnell?
McConnell, absolutely not. He needs to go. He's part of the problem.
So you would vote against McConnell if you were in the Senate, and let's say you had 51 seats, 52 seats. You would actually vote against McConnell for leader.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. I asked this question to everybody. You know what's coming. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask it, and I think it's a fair question. Mark Pukita with us, running for Senate in Ohio. He's a Republican. That'll be decided May 3rd in a plurality 2022. You think Trump won?
He absolutely won. The election was stolen fraudulently. It wasn't just machines. It was everything. It's highly distributed, multifaceted voter fraud, and it was planned. He is absolutely the president, and the election was illegitimate.
How do you think they pulled this off?
So if you go back to Bush v. Gore, John, and you look at what the Supreme Court said, they said, Mr. Gore, you found your 240 votes in Broward County or whatever they were. Well, we won't allow you to extrapolate them across the state. You got to go find all of them. And way back then, the Democrats said, aha, here's how we do it. We do voter fraud everywhere. We do it in every way we can, and we do as much as possible. And I believe they've actually developed a strategy, a plan around this. So it's why they're so anxious for mail-in voting. It's why they're so anxious for expanded absentee and early voting and no voter ID. I mean, you just look at let's call it the evidence, and I don't think you can come to any other conclusion.
Do you think, there's some people that say that Trump won Ohio by not 8 but 16. Do you believe that?
I do.
Mark?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I've yet to meet anybody in Ohio that didn't vote for the guy. I mean, everybody I meet that's in Ohio, like, who'd you vote for? Like, Trump. I think he won by 16. I think Lindell said that. I just think he did. I mean, because you figure if they did this voter fraud in wherever, right, in Atlanta and Milwaukee and Phoenix, like, why wouldn't they done it in Columbus, right? Why wouldn't they do it in Cleveland? Why wouldn't they do it in Cincinnati, right?
Yep, everywhere. John, it's everywhere. And anybody who doesn't believe that is being naive. And, for example, we've got a Republican Secretary of State in Ohio who has told me to my face twice, we have no meaningful voter fraud in Ohio. And I say, Frank, I hold up a hand and I say, we have elections that are decided by less votes than the fingers on this hand. What is your definition of meaningful voter fraud? And he just walks away.
What did he say?
He just walks away.
What did he say?
He walks away.
he walks.
So they
away.
can't even answer your question.
Right. And he'll talk about how secure and how we did so well and we're right up there with Florida. And I say, well, great, prove it. Let's do a full forensic audit, including a hand recount of the 2020 election in Ohio, and let's see who's right. Listen, we have the money to do this. We have the money to do this. It's sacrosanct. One person, one vote. I can't think of anything more important, John.
What do you think about Biden's plan to double the size of the IRS with $80 billion and go after small businesses? Do you think the small businesses are the culprits that are not paying their taxes? I mean, you own a small business.
No, I own a small business. Let me say, I was audited several times over a number of years. And first of all, I got no change letters every time. And if your readers don't know what that is, that means your tax return was absolutely perfect in their eyes, in the IRS's eyes. And it happens very infrequently, 3 times, because I just do it right. And I will tell you that the young lady that was my first auditor basically said to me, kind of off the record, we audit people like you because you're a college graduate, a white college graduate who owns their own business, and we know we feel you're the people who cheat the most. That is the attitude that she was a young, very bright African American woman who had just graduated. I was her first audit. So she was willing to share this. I mean, I spent literally months with her, and that's what she told me. They are gunning for small business so they can put us out of business. So they only have a handful of large mega corporations, big tech, something we need to crush. Part of my Big 7 disrupt agenda, crush big tech, the swamp, and the deep state. And I think it falls right in line with the plan to get rid of small business and have government, everybody dependent on the government.
I just find that incredible. I mean, she actually said that to you?
Yep, she actually said it to me. And then
can you say it again for our audience, just so we can sink in?
She basically said to me that white college graduates were it was like they did some kind of big data analysis and figured out that white college graduates who were business owners were the most likely to cheat on their taxes.
It's like, don't we have something called racial profiling that we're against?
Yeah, absolutely.
White business college graduates, males who own a small business cheat on their taxes.
Right.
I mean, so you get targeted. So it's just unbelievable. What is going on in this country, dude, is unbelievable. All right, here's the deal. We got to have you back on because I like you. Let's go plus you're honest. Honesty is the best policy, man, especially on the radio, right? You got nowhere to hide.
Absolutely.
Pukita for Senate, Pukita.
Yeah.
Pukita for Senate.
Like the banana with a P.
Pukita for Senate 2022. 2022.com. You're targeted, dude. They're going to order you into oblivion.
WJFN WJFN Chester, 100.5 FM, 92.7 FM, and AM 820.